Welcome to Test Troop, your go-to hub for professional knowledge sharing. In this video, I will be explaining what Postman collections are, how to store configuration using collection variables, and how to effectively work with this variable to streamline your API testing and development process. I will be using request-response.in APIs to explain this concept. Let's go to Postman. You can see I have already logged in. As I told earlier, to effectively use Postman, you need to log in first. And I don't have any open request here. Let's start creating a request by clicking a plus button. Let's go to the website and take the base URL, copy it, you can paste here, and also get the resource path for the resource you are interested in. So in this case, I want to select this particular single user request. Click on it, copy this request, and send the request. Yeah, you see the server responded with 200 OK. That means your API transaction is successful and you got a response, right? Do you see a red dot here? It indicates that the current request is not saved. So let's click on a save button to save a request, and the dialog pops up asking under which collection this request has to be saved. So the collection is an important terminology used in Postman. Okay, collection is like a folder where you can store a multiple request. You can think of a collection as a group of tests for a specific API. Let us take an example of this particular website. Um, this website is basically an user management system who provides APIs to create, update, retrieve the user records. You can save all these API requests in a collection called user management API test. So let's give a useful name here as a user management API test. It also prompts a name for a request. By default, it gives the URL itself or an address itself. Let us give get single user record. Then click on a save. You can see under my workspace, you can see the collection name. Under the collection, we have saved get user single record, right? And if you see here, you don't see any the orange dot. If I do a change here, again you see that there is some change. It is indicating that there is some change. If you want to save this change, you can save by clicking a save button. Let us restore this back. Okay, let us create another request under the same collection. In this case, I want to basically try to do a negative test where the user is not available. Copy this base request here, base URL, then go back to the website and take this resource path, fire this request. You see this 404, that means this particular resource is not available. Still you can see here you have an orange dot. Let us try to save this resource, and it asks under which collection you have to change. You can if you don't do anything, it will remember the previous collection name. Otherwise you can save it under the different collection name. So let us give this as uh, get user not found. Yeah, if you see here, this particular collection now has two requests. From this, what we understood is collection is like a folder where you can store multiple requests. So till now we discussed what is collection, and now we are going to discuss about the collection variable and what is its importance. Let us consider a situation where you have a multiple API request which is grouped under a single collection which has something common. For example, if you consider this request and response, if you see for all these APIs that are exposed here, it has a same base address, which is request response.in. Okay, if you are going to write a test that invokes all these methods, basically get, post, put, patch, whatever the APIs expose, and list them under the user management API collection, and tomorrow if suddenly this base URL changes, then you have to go each request by request and manually change them, which is basically in tedious job, right? Here I have only two requests, it is very easy to change, go just copy paste. But if there are multiple requests, right, more than 100, more than 100 requests, then you will have to go each request and change it, right? So that is when the collection variable plays a very important role. The collection variable is an kind of a variable which is going to store the value which is common across the request across the collection. Okay. Okay. If you see in these two requests, we have this base URL which is common, and I want to store them in an collection variable. To do so, just hover it across this, over this. Just hover your mouse over this, and you will get an item called set variable, and set as a new variable. Click on this. Here you can give a name. This is basically the base URL. Then the value is this one, and then you have to set a scope. Okay, the scope can be a global, that means uh, it can be used across for any request across my workspace. It is not only limited to basically the list of APIs under a particular collection, or it can be listed under an environment, maybe tagged to an environment. For example, if our organization has multiple environment to test like dev, queue, and acceptance, then you can also attach the variables specific to the environment. Or the scope can be to the collection. That means if you have a multiple collections, if you attach a scope to a particular collection, that means that variable is not available for another collection. For example, if you have another collection called as an employee management API test, and there are certain requests under that, and if you use a base URL uh, there, then this base URL will be undefined there. Okay, your collection will not understand what exactly this variable will be. I will also show with that an example. The vault is basically used to share your secret keys. Okay, for a time being, I will basically attach this variable into a collection for a particular collection, and then I can set this as a variable. As soon as I do this, basically the entire URL, the base URL is replaced with this particular variable, which is start with the two curly braces in the start and ends with the two curly braces. And if I hover over that my mouse, it says um, it's a variable is a base URL, and it has two values, initial value and the current value, and the scope is limited to collection. I will explain what is initial value and current value um, shortly. Okay, yeah. So now this is ready, and if you see there is something that is changed. If you see this red dot, it says that something has been changed. So what I will do is I will save this request, and this orange circle is gone now. What I will also do here also, I will replace, yeah, I will replace that base URL in the other request as well, right? In the other request. Okay, and I will try to run this. I will try to I go to console. I'll clear it. I just wanted to capture the logs. I'll just run this request. Yeah, it's successful. And if I expand this, you can still see that I am using this particular URL, right? HTTPS request response.in. Okay, yeah. So this is how the collection variable basically works. If I want to edit the variable value, right, where should I find it? Where should I go and find for this variable? This is very easy. You have to go to the collection level, click on these three dots, and then press on the edit button. Then go to the variable section, and you see the variable is listed and it has two values, initial value and a current value. The current value is a value that is used by the postman to send a request. While sending a request, the variable will be replaced with the current value. Okay, I will also come back to the initial value. For example, now let us change this initial value as dummy, and now let us save this and then go to our request, try to execute it and come back to console. Yes, still you see that this is basically using the the value from the current variable, right? It's using the value from the current variable. Let's clear this and go back to the collection variable. Take this value, yeah, paste it here and make it as dummy something. Then save this, go back to the API. Just try to call this now, and before that, okay. Yeah, you see this, there is an error, right? Yeah, why there is an error? Because it is replaced with dummy, because we have assigned the current value of the variable as a dummy. That is why it is giving an error. So whenever Postman try to send a request, it uses the current value from the collection variable, right? Let us go back and edit this, bring into the normal value and just save this. It's saved. Now let us look into the why the initial value is being used. Okay, the Postman is a tool which is used across the teams. It is used for the collaboration, right? It can also be used as an collaboration tool where the multiple people are working. Basically, what you can do is you can share your collection across the teams, right? So, for example, in my organization, I am a senior tester and there are two junior testers who are working. I initially set them a framework and after that I share this collection with them so that they can start adding the new tests. In such cases, what happens when you try to share these collections, the initial value of the collection variable will be stay shared to the other members to the when they try to when they try to import this particular collection, then they can only see the initial value, they will not see the current value. So that is why we have two values for a variable, which is called as an initial value, which is mainly used when sharing the collections across the team, and the current value is being used when Postman try to send a request where there is an collection variable, then it replaces this value, replaces that variable with this value. Let us understand a little bit of scoping. We saw that the collection variable can have a global scope, or the scope is limited to the collection, or the scope is limited to the environment where it is used. Okay, let us demonstrate this. Let us understand this scoping a little bit better, right? So I will try to add a new request. Okay, um, and this time I'm going to add the list user, for example, and I will take this as a base URL, and the resource path is this one. I'll copy paste that. Yeah, now I try to run this. So I got this as a 200 success. Let's clear this. What I will do is I will take this particular base URL from here, right? Copy it from here and try to use it here. Yeah, if I hover here, it clearly says that this is an unresolved variable. But you might be thinking I already stored this variable in a collection, right? Yeah. So the reason for unresolved here is this particular request that what I created just now is not associated with the collection, the user management API collection. It is still we haven't saved this, right? It's still it's lying outside of this particular collection. That is why the variable base URL, which has a scope as a collection, which is unknown, right? Which is unknown to this particular request because it is outside this particular collection. Now what I will try to do is, if I try to send this, it basically gives an error because the base URL is not defined. What I will try to do is I will try to save this request, under the same under the same collection. Okay, you see now it has been listed under the same collection, and if I hover here it clearly shows which base URL it is using. It is using the base URL from this collection. Why? Because it is this particular request is under this particular collection, and the variable is also under this particular collection scope. That is why uh, the Postman is able to recognize, able to resolve this CP. Okay, that is how we can basically demonstrate uh, the uh, the scope of the collection variables. And that wraps up today's session. Today we covered Postman collection variables, and the differences between initial and current values. We also discussed variable scoping. I hope you enjoyed learning with me. If you found this video useful, please like, share, and subscribe to stay updated with the future content. In the next session, we will deep dive into constructing endpoints and exploring the different HTTP methods. See you soon.